Thanks for tuning into the channel. Today we're going to change the calipers, rotor, and brake pads on a 2014 Chev Silverado. It's a 5.3 4x4 LT Z71 package. So we'll get into it. First thing I'm going to do, take the wheel off. We got aftermarket wheels, so aftermarket socket for that. Take that off. I've got a wheel spacer that's got to come off as well. That'll come off. We'll turn the wheel before I do that, just so I can get into the caliper bolts on the back side a little easier. This stuff's all from Parts Avatar. They've asked if people if they can do a video of the installation, so folks like you that are watching have a better idea how to do it. So I'll show you the parts that we're going with. Ray Bestos caliper bracket mounting bolts. I'm going to change them out because mine are getting rounded off from years of on and off issues with caliper sticking and stuff like that. I'm only doing one side. Typically you would change both sides out. I just changed the passenger side, so we should be fairly even on wear. Promax disc brakes, these are ceramic. There, they look like the right part from recently doing I've done, it's a new rotor that just got destroyed because the caliper was sticking. I had taken the caliper off, the old caliper, the one that's on right now, and cleaned it up, cleaned up the sliders, lubed the sliders, but it was sticking and damaged my rotor beyond where I want it to be. So this is our replacement caliper, and there is a little bit of a core charge. These guys don't charge too much for a core charge, so it's like $45 Canadian, which is great. So we have pads, bolts to put this guy on to replace the ones that are on it now, and a new rotor, and that's going on the driver's side. This is all driver's side, so we'll get into it. All right, I've jacked the wheel up on the A-arm. You can jack it on the frame, but you're going to have to bottom out your suspension before the wheel comes off. We're going to put jack stands on the frame itself, just so that if it comes off, it's not going to fall onto the caliper, the new one or the old one. Also, I've got wheel chocks on the other side of the truck. Truck's obviously in park as well. We are on a little bit of a grade, which isn't ideal. My whole driveway is a little bit of a grade, so we chock the truck, we use our jack stands, keep the jack under there as well, do everything we can to mitigate the risk. All right, for now I've turned the wheel so we can get at those bracket bolts a little easier, tap them off so we can get the caliper itself off. I'll take it off, have a look at it, make sure that what I'm thinking is going on, and then we will go from there. All right, for my rounded off caliper bracket bolt, 11/16 was the socket. Used a breaker bar because I didn't want to strip it further with yonder 500 foot-pounds impact. So this is now loose, and I'll take the bottom one off, grab a couple of big reusable zip ties and tie up our caliper for now and have a look around. I can tell right now my inside pad is barely worn, and I'm pretty sure, like I said, my outside, based on looking down through, is in a bad way. So all right, let's get at it. Okay, so out with the old, in with the new. Caliper bracket mounting bolts, Parts Avatar, with the Ray Bestos part number 30025543, sorry. And they are same exact dimensions, thread pattern, and looks like head size as well. So with this rounded off one, it was a, which I'm never going to use again, so I'm just going to beat it out. It was a 11/16, and we'll check. I'm pretty sure it's a little bit different for ones that aren't rounded off. Be right back. Replacement brake calipers and Amateurs DNS 2000. Again, got this from Parts Avatar, and their part number is here. So we'll go have a look at that. It comes with the copper gaskets, new brake line bolt, and all the hardware. Again, Parts Avatar, part numbers here, and this is again 2014 Silverado 5.3 Z71. I don't think that matters. I don't think they changed the brake sizes on the Z71. I think this guy came with 17-inch rims. We'll put the rotor on. I'll probably clean up this hub face. I hate these things, but that's probably what contributed to my issue too. There's a little bit of a screw that I sheared off and drilled out left. So I might clean that up, clean up the face, and make sure that that's lined up with the hole that it would normally go into. I don't put those screws in. Whatever. Yeah, probably should, but I don't. So anyway, we'll clean that up, put the new rotor on, new caliper. When my wife comes back to help me with bleeding the brakes, we'll do that. But for now, I'm going to clean this up first with a wire brush and maybe drill that out a little bit, and we'll be right back. So with this brass wire brush, I definitely am now wearing safety glasses where this is all, the brass is non-ferrous. Is that the same size? Yeah. Yeah, okay, we're same diameter. Good. Working with drills and stuff, never a bad idea to have the proper PPE. So I am going to put my wire brush on my drill. We're going to clean up this face some. I'm going to drill out that stupid screw from the Lasco. Every time they get put in, they break off. They just get rusted in. All right, so we'll clean her up and go from there. Be right back. All right, the bane of my existence has been drilled out. Now we'll clean it up what we can. All right, so we've cleaned up the mating surface, and I'm really just trying to get all the larger scale off of it. I want to have a very good mating surface between the hub and the rotor, because I don't want to have it off. The tighter we can have things, the better for our tires and for wear and tear on the linkages in here and ball joints, wheel bearings, things like that. So we've cleaned that up, so I've got a better mating surface. And we'll put our Chinese rotor on, and I'll come right back. I'm just going to slide that on, and next we'll put our new caliper on. When my wife gets back, I'll help her, or I'll have her help me with bleeding. She'll run the brake pad for me, so we'll do that up. New rotor on, and I'm actually going to keep this guy because there's not, I checked it here a couple of days ago, and I thought I felt a bigger wear lip at the outer edge, thinking that I had more wear going on than I actually do. That definitely was sticking, that old caliper, because when I did check it, there was just a build up of crud on the inside of my rotor. There was no pad contact, so the sliders stuck, even though I took them apart and cleaned them up, cleaned off some of the scale that was on them, and put new lubricant in there for brake sliders. Which I'm going to just put a small bit on these guys. I'll take it apart and just make sure it's well lubed. It's a remanufacture done in Canada, so I know these guys probably did a very good job, but we'll double check before we put it on because I don't want to waste my time. Alright, sliders are well lubed and working well. Put my pad guides in. We'll put the pads on. We'll get this guy up and mounted on our way. So I'll be right back with pads. Alright, again, parts Avatar Pro Max disc brake pad ceramic. Here's your part number. Silverado 2014 5.3, said 71 4x4. 10-1363, and there's different part numbers. There's different so there are an inside and outside to pads. As you can see, the bottom side here, one side's rounded and the other side is flat. Flat's going to go on the piston side of the assembly. The round's going to go on the bracket side of the assembly. All right, calipers on. Wheel spacers back on, tightened, star pattern, double checked. Pain in the butt getting these pads in, and they're not a great fit. So if you're gonna get pads, I don't suggest these ones. The fitment's not great at all. So 18 mil for the bolts on the back. I was using 11/16 on the rounded off ones. 18's the right fit, 3/4 a little bit too big. 11/16 is a little bit too tight. You're gonna get your wrench or your socket kind of jammed on there if you use the 11/16. New one's on, and again, those pads are, I'm not real happy with the fit. I'm worried that they're gonna stick a little bit, and I don't know if it's the pad tabs or if it's these guides that are the issue. Shims, whatever they're called. It's on. Everything's cleaned up before we put the rotor on. And what we have to do now, really, all that's left, so we're bolted on 18 mil down here on the bracket bolts. Didn't take the actual caliper bolts off there, and this thing's a floating setup. And it's set up. So there's a little bit of play there, which there's supposed to be. When you apply it, it squeezes it, and it floats, or it's supposed to. All that's left now is we're going to disconnect this, and we are not reusing, there's a copper washer on either side. It gets squeezed to make the seal, and that's going to go in here. We're going to replace the bolt and the two copper gaskets, I guess. They're a washer, but they act as a gasket, and they get squeezed and compressed to make the seal. So this is coming off. It's going to be replaced with that and those. We're going to go in here with it, but it's off with this. We're going to reuse the block, obviously. It's part of the line, and we're going to put washers either side. Boom, into here. Once we're in, we're going to bleed. I get my wife to push on the brake. We'll bleed it, and then top up our brake fluid, which I've got both here. When you do your brake fluid, you want to, ideally, you want to use a new unopened bottle, because you don't want any condensation in there. You don't want any water in your brake system or any contaminants at all. So our brake line bolt is 11 mil and our bleed is 10 mil. This bleed is also 10 mil, I double checked. So I'm going to disconnect here, get a couple of rags so that I don't get brake fluid on the truck or on the driveway. We're going to take this bolt out. We're going to use this block, put the block into here. Then I'll get my wife to come out and apply brakes as I bleed. We're going to fill this caliper, this piston up, bleed the air out of it, and then we should be done. So I will grab some rags and we'll get at it. Well, as you can imagine, that is being a little bit stubborn, so we'll use an impact on it. And I'm going to need both hands, so I'll sit you down for a sec. Alright, well, I need both hands. Couldn't show you as I was putting it on, but the old, I'm going to assume it was OEM, bolt was 11 mil. New one is 10. So we disconnected here, took the two copper gaskets, washers, whatever, compression gaskets off. The inside one was, because it was squished, I had to kind of force it with a flathead screwdriver and then unthread it off the bolt. So the caliper kit came with a new bolt and two new copper washer gaskets, whatever you want to call them. There's a proper name for them, compression disc or something. Anyway, either side of that brake line block, and this caliper, I know they're the same. I had to clean the inside edge of the block off a little bit with a flathead just so it would fit in. Originally a machine face by the looks of it, but corroded, so clean it off so you get a good fit in there so it's not cockeyed, so those gaskets get squished properly. I'm going to take this old one away, being careful not to drip a bunch of brake fluid all over the driveway, and get that out of the way. I'll get my wife out here to apply brakes. So what I'm going to get her to do is apply pressure as hard as she can. I'm going to open this up, bleed some air out, close it while she's still keeping pressure on. You don't want to have this open and release the brake because it's going to suck air back in. So there are different tools. There's vacuum bleeding systems you can buy to do this single-handedly. You can get like a thing to apply pressure to your brake pedal while you do this as well. Just as easy to get a second person to come help, so we'll do that. And just thought I'd check this before we get started. We got lots of brake fluid in it, lots of space, and it's .3 brake fluid that this guy takes, so I don't know if I even have any, but we'll do our deed here, bleed them and see if we need to add any. All right, we're all bled, so I had her apply pressure while I opened the bleed and then closed it. Did that a few times, quick shots, and then full compression of the pedal. Cleaned up the brake fluid that was spilled and made sure everything was tight, capped off. Caliper bracket mounting bolts are tight. We've compressed our gaskets here, compression washers. They're tight. The bleed's tight, capped. Everything else is golden. Put our wheel back on. We have topped up it was down probably halfway between max and min. And we've topped it up with .3 as per Chev. .3 fluid, synthetic I do believe. That's the square sum of changing out caliper pads and rotors on a 2014 Silverado 5.3 Z71 package. Thanks for watching.